Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Slamtown. I'm Mike Ginn. That's Dan Bakley. This episode, we're going to be talking about Saraya's surprise debut at AEW Grand Slam this past Wednesday. The impact that's going to have. Looks like she's going to be wrestling, so we'll talk about that, as well as her health and everything revolved around that. We'll also give our opinions on Grand Slam as we go. Of course, before we do that, let's take care of business. Go ahead over to FightersFirst.shop. Get the Slamtown merch. Get all the fighter merch. We got Ivan Koloff collection just launched. We're launching Paul Orndorff soon. So working on that one as we speak. Hell, we just launched Kung Lee right now. So everything going on a lot at FightersFirst.shop. So go ahead and check out the links in the description below. FightersFirst.shop. Let our apparel be a part of your story. Hell, damn, we even got some really cool Cage My IQ shirts over there, right?
Yeah.
How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling regenerated. I'm ready to talk about Saraya, AEW.
Yeah, we're trying to get some episodes going a little bit more frequently for you folks at home. You guys seem to enjoy the CM Punk. AEW is CEW at this point. CM Punk Elite Wrestling. He seems to have Tony wrapped around his finger. You hate when I say that, so I'll just say it again. Y'all think Dan is the heel? He's the good guy on this show. But hey, last Wednesday, huge debut. The roof went off of Arthur Ashe Stadium. Saraya came out of nowhere. We had heard a little bit of rumors throughout the week that she was possibly talking about going back to WWE. I don't know if that made Tony step up the thing or if Tony was the one leaking those rumors just to kind of fire up a little bit more fuel around her name. But at the end of the women's interim title match, defense for Toni Storm, they Britt Baker and all the heels were jumping Toni and Athena, and out of nowhere, here comes Saraya. The name went on the screen. She came out, huge pop. I popped. I don't know about you. I was like really excited about her coming back.
Yeah.
My first questions were, is she coming back as like a mouthpiece, talking? But then she gets in the ring, and you immediately see like kind of her like hinting like Britt, get the hell out of my ring type thing before she gets in. I'm very clear. I think it's very clear nobody can touch her right now until all those final clearances have been 100% set. But she also made it very clear this is her house. She's here. That ring is her house.
Yeah.
And she did challenge Britt and them to kind of get in the ring and fight her. And they didn't want any part of it because they were so shocked that she was there. Dan, right off the bat, what are your thoughts about Saraya returning to wrestling?
This is great. Whether it's just to be a mouthpiece, like you said, manager, or hopefully a wrestler. She's only 30 years old. And people forget that when she started in the WWE, she was very young. So
I mean, she grew up in the business.
Yeah, so it's like she's still young enough to have a decent career added on if she can get cleared. And I think it was a nice touch that she came out, of course, to Ronnie's song from Fallen in Reverse. That once that hit, I knew who it was because she's the only person I thought would come out to them. And so that was nice.
It's fitting to her personality.
Yeah, which is nice. She comes out. She wanted the attention right away. It kind of reminds me of Britt Baker. She wants the attention, so she took it away from Britt Baker, which was really good. And that's a match that I would like to see her against Britt, because it's like you want to get her established right away. You put her up against the biggest woman on the roster that everybody know, that's been a champion, that can talk. Paige can talk. She can wrestle too. You can start off right off the bat pushing Paige. I'm not saying the world title if she can get clear, but just have her have a great match right away against the best.
I think that's the greatest thing about Britt not being champion right now.
Yeah,
because they have talked off on like social media and stuff like that about possibly facing each other one day, dream match, whatever. Paige versus Britt Baker, now going by her real name Saraya. But the thing is that they don't have to have the title involved because Britt Baker is arguably the biggest female star they have on the roster. And like you said, people forget Paige is the second best, in my opinion, the second best female wrestler on the planet today. If she's healthy, if she's going like not like her full blown, like we saw Edge come back fully ready to go. I mean, he had been training secretly in the ring for a while, so he was ready to go when it was time to face Randy Orton.
Bryan Danielson
was ready to go when it was time, but Bryan didn't really have the layoff to like Edge.
Even Christian.
Yeah, Bryan didn't have the layoff that Edge had, like 10 years. But that said, they were ready to go. You didn't see any ring rust, anything like that. Next to Charlotte Flair, another person who grew up around the business, who gets it, understands the entertainment aspect as well as being able to go in that ring. I don't think there's another female on the planet that can go the way Paige goes. She was the beginning of the women's evolution for a reason.
Yeah.
And while if she hadn't existed, maybe it would have been Emma, Tenille Dashwood, who had gotten the ball to run with, which would have been just fine because people sleep on how good she is as well. Because she's such a character, so to speak. They forget
just had a great run in Impact before becoming a free agent again.
Yeah, and there's words about she might be coming back to WWE as well because of her boyfriend being Madcap Moss. But having Saraya on a roster is I hate to be like giving Impact Wrestling like the name, but it makes an impact, right? It makes an impact having her on there because first of all, she looked better. She looked better on Wednesday night, like health-wise, and just beautiful and full of energy than I've seen her in years. Some of her final performances in WWE as a GM, she didn't look as healthy as she did last night. She came out full of energy, full of like bouncing around. She skipped in the ring a little bit. She genuinely looked healthy, which is something that we haven't really said. We see her on her Twitch streams and stuff like that. There's been people that have worried about her health over the years because of, whether it's, possible addiction issues or anything else like that. She came out Wednesday night and she looked great. She looked absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I admit I'm a mark for the former Paige, Saraya. Like I'm a mark. Like when she's in that ring, I'm like, all right, I'm watching because, she's beautiful and she can wrestle. And she grew up, the Knight family over in England. Everybody knows the story. They've seen the movie. She's transcended all of that. So the fact that she's back in, she puts more eyeballs on the prize. And I got to congratulate Tony Khan because this surprise came out of nowhere. I think he should have held it for a pay-per-view. Like, I don't think he should have just given it away for free TV. But Grand Slam is like their free pay-per-view every year they do. And Grand Slam is their big show. They did it last year. You had the debut of Bryan Danielson last year against Kenny Omega. It was a big deal. They wanted to do some big deals. Wednesday night was nonstop big deals. Shout out to finally getting it right with the Acclaim, right? Scissor me. But,
exactly.
I'm excited. They finally got that right. I wish they would have done that on a pay-per-view as well. But better late than never. In wrestling business, the wheel doesn't stop turning. So if you didn't do it the last show, you can get it right. And
maybe they wanted to capitalize on the big New York market. Absolutely.
Both Bowens and Caster are from the New York area.
Yeah.
People don't know. A lot of people don't know. They said it on the broadcast, but Anthony's from Long Island, and Max's dad played for the Jets. They mention it once in a while, but his dad was like a tight end or something for the New York Jets.
Yeah.
So they grew up in the New York area, so that's home. I don't want to get sidetracked on that match because it was a little weird with the knee injury that kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't know the way the camera angle was. If Swerve actually climbed up on the corner and hit him and made him fall down and hurt his knee because he was kind of like climbing up.
I think it was the camera angle and how they.
I think they missed that.
Yeah.
So they just made it look like a random knee injury. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he bounces back up, jumps over the top rope, and does the like whatever. It's wrestling. But I was excited. I was pumped.
Yeah.
But let me ask you two questions, Dan. One, you already kind of hinted at it with the feud with Britt Baker and that possible big jumping off point. But overall, what does this do for the women's division in AEW? I mean, in my opinion, I already think it kind of elevates them. They were already neck and neck with WWE. I think at this point, it almost elevates them over it because of the pure, just genuinely interest right now. And two, what do you think is going to happen with Saraya? Is she going to be wrestling like they say she might? Is she going to go back to being her former self? And if that's the case, is there concern over her neck?
Well,
as a fan?
Well, of course, her goal was to be a wrestler. She wanted to come back as a wrestler. She was ready to stay with WWE, but she left for a reason, and that's because they weren't going to let her have that.
Her contract expired. Vince didn't have the one to come back.
Yeah. So I can only imagine Tony Khan said, "I'll put you in as long as you can pass the tests."
Yeah.
And everything, because you look at Christian, you look at Edge, like I said, even on WWE, Bryan Danielson, they all passed their test and then came back. No matter which the company they were wrestling in, they came back and were able to go clearance-wise, because there's been a little bit of evolvence in checking your neck and all that stuff, and being able to help wrestlers. And she's going to come back. It's only a plus for the women's division. I feel like the women's division needs to get better with getting booked in AEW and having more matches that are high profile, and then having something like Saraya only heightens it. And one of the things that I think goes unnoticed with the AEW, with the women's division, is if you look at all the women's divisions in wrestling, not many of them have a lot of UK women's wrestlers, and this is the third one.
AEW has a bunch, yeah.
And this is the third or fourth woman from the UK, because you got Saraya, you got Toni Storm, who she's from New Zealand, Australia, but she trained in UK, and then you got Jamie Hayter.
I mean, in fairness, NXT has had its fair share of British female wrestlers too.
Yeah.
I mean, all those names except for Jamie Hayter all went through NXT, and then NXT also had Kylie Ray come over. They had a bunch of them come over, especially now that NXT UK is benched for a while. Like they're all over right now in NXT. So.
But this allows for a while to where Britt Baker could have a high profile match and not be for the title.
Yep.
You can book that. You can do Toni Storm and say Jamie Hayter here, try and build Jamie Hayter, possibly with the belt on her, because Thunder Rosa is going to be out a while. And then you could do Britt Baker against Saraya. And then when Thunder Rosa comes back, that's another wrestler for her to feud with. That's only good things can only come out of it as long as she wrestles and then they book well for it.
I mean, in fairness, I don't want to see her against Thunder Rosa, because if you have concerns about injuries, and fair or not fair, Thunder Rosa's been involved in several matches where people get hurt, including herself. The Marina Shafir match, the Toni Storm match. Obviously, her and Britt tend to hurt each other every time they touch. And then, obviously now Thunder Rosa dealing with her injuries for the reason why we have an interim title as is. I just, as a fan, until I know her neck is okay and she's not going to get a random slap on the back and all of a sudden be paralyzed. Because let's be real, that kick that Sasha landed that paralyzed or temporarily gave her the stinger wasn't a hard kick. It wasn't. It was just perfectly placed, and it was part of the match. And Saraya's neck wasn't good. She came back too soon, and her neck wasn't good. And, since then, she's had fusion surgery. She's had some of the surgeries Edge has had. And she should be good to go. She should be able to take the punishment with today's technology, so to speak, and medical science. But there's always that fear. And it's even got to be in the back of her head until she has a couple matches that, hey, the moment somebody touches me, I might not get up. Or even worse, you could die because the way your neck and spine could snap. It was a big concern for Edge for a number of years of why he didn't come back sooner. He tried to distract himself with acting and jumping into different things, but you could clearly see the last 3 or 4 years before his return, his gears were kind of turning. There was always that little, maybe he could come back.
And the big roadblock was Beth Phoenix, was her reluctance to have him come back because she wasn't sure he was going to be safe enough because of the ramifications of him coming back with the injury that he had.
Yeah, I don't think Paige, or I'm sorry, Saraya has. I'm probably gonna make that mistake for a while. So you used to call her Paige, but I don't think Saraya has that person in her corner. Like, I know her boyfriend and everything, and they're big serious, but I don't think he doesn't have the experience in the wrestling business.
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna be like, maybe you shouldn't do this. And I don't know, maybe he is saying that. But at the same time, I've always, like, you see it on her Twitch streams, you see it on the way she carries herself on social media. I pretty much feel that Saraya does what Saraya wants to do.
Yeah.
She's never had any, like, people holding her back. She's never had anybody just go. From being a little kid or like a young teenager in the wrestling business, coming up, wrestling her mom and dad and her brother and everything else, wrestling with my family and all that stuff, especially in the UK, which is a much more aggressive, stiff style. We see it a lot. There's a lot of athleticism going there, back from the Dynamite Kid days, nowadays with Will Ospreay, but they also lay it in pretty stiff. They also, like, hit you. They smack you in the mouth. And the crazy thing is, it leads me to two things. One, I'm like, every fan is going to be watching for her neck. Like, they're all going to be like, oh, is she okay? Same way with Bryan Danielson, right? Like, when he fought that match with Kenny Omega last year, and he took all those, what's the running knee called that he does? The shot that Kenny does when he does the running knees. What's he call it?
V trigger.
The V trigger. Yeah. He took all those V triggers, including one that was pretty nasty up against the ropes from the outside. And I'm sitting there like, why, Brian? Why are you taking these shots? Like, he's not even trying to protect his neck at all. And already seen him out with a concussion once or twice so far in the last year he's been there. And that's the whole history of, like, why is Bryan Danielson even Max, like, during his promo on Wednesday, it was like, you can get advice from Brian. His head is kind of mush, and he might not be there next week. There's always a sense of, like Wheeler said, Max goes for the low-hanging fruit, but there's a thread of reality to that, right?
Yeah.
So how long does it have to be before people stop worrying about Saraya's neck? That's a question. I know I talk a lot. That's a question.
Who knows? I think she was smart when she left because she knew she had to. She didn't rush to come back. It was like she wanted to come back, but she's like, do I come back? Do I not come back?
Well, in fairness, that's also the WWE's medical team, because they will shut you down.
Yeah, but there's points in time when she wasn't even there. She was just out and gone. And then it's been a while since her contract ran out. It's been a good 6 months or so, and a little bit more, actually. So she's had time to just think about it. And the more she thought about it, like, when it first happens, just like that. So when it first happens, you're like, okay, I got to deal with the fact that I won't be able to do this anymore. But then when you see all these people come back, and then you get like that Yancy feeling like, I want to go back. You got this other company here that's doing good, and then you got WWE doing good. Like, I got to be a part of this. And then you start doing different things, like going to see doctors you want to start to see. You ask the people that came back, how did you come back? How did your neck feel? And
what doctors signed off on it?
Yeah, what doctors signed off on it. And knowing that maybe AEW's doctors aren't as strict as WWE, but then at the same time, if you find the right doctor to clear you, they'll probably be more lenient about it than WWE will.
Well, she had hinted before her contract was even up that she was close to being cleared.
Yeah.
And from all intents and purposes, WWE really did have interest in bringing her back. Now, it could have been just a Triple H thing saying, I just want you in the building. But I wouldn't have think they would be willing to bring her back if she wasn't cleared.
Now here's the question. Was Vince not interested, but Triple H was? And by the time that by the time Triple H took over, did AEW already have their hands on her to where when Triple H reached out, she was just like, I'm already with them. It was too late.
I mean, that's possible. Question. We don't know how long she's been signed.
Yeah.
Like this could be just being announced. We don't know when Tony could have reached out the day of contract and they'd be like, hey, how do we make this happen?
Yeah.
There's always that question. That look, the one thing I will give Tony all credit for is that he understands the biggest part of wrestling is the surprise.
Yeah.
Whether it's a calculated surprise, like we kind of knew CM Punk was coming, but we didn't know for sure. So the place was packed thinking, CM Punk, we want you. Which is actually not much different than when all the Lesnar leaks had happened the night after WrestleMania and he came back against John Cena. We kind of heard, but we didn't. But when somebody's been gone that long, you don't know if it's true. Like we've been wanting it to be true for so long, and then all of a sudden his music hits and everybody's like the roof in Miami went boom. The same thing last year in Chicago. The roof went boom when it's like we're pretty sure he's coming, but then he actually is there. Other than that, we didn't know for sure Adam Cole was coming because he was negotiating with staying with WWE for NXT and the main roster. All his friends were over in AEW. We didn't know. We kind of knew Bryan Danielson was coming, but we didn't know when. We had no idea Saraya was coming. We had none. It was not, it was a good surprise. Ruby Soho, we didn't know she was coming. Talk about another talent in the women's division. We had seen her little trailers of like the lost runaway girl. We didn't know where that was going. Actually, most people thought she was going to Impact. We all kind of thought she was going to Impact. And then she shows up in AEW. So Tony gets that. Tony gets the surprise. He does it very well. Sometimes the surprise is better than half the shows in AEW. And that's not a knock to AEW. It's just, if you look at the most watched videos on YouTube for wrestling, 9 out of 10 are going to be surprises. Like the big return. Somebody comes back from injury. Somebody debuts. Somebody, surprise appearance. Those are the videos that get the most views on YouTube.
And you'll get the casual fan who'll be like, oh my God, she's back. I got to watch and see what happened,
Tony's been accused.
That's what you want to get because you're going to have your core fans there week in, week out, but you want to try and reach the casual fan to bring them back in or like a new fan that hasn't watched. And because you brought somebody certain back, they're like, oh, I loved her in WWE. Let me cram her to the video to catch her. And now maybe they'll be hooked and be like, oh, I wonder what happens next.
Yeah. Kevin Nash famously accuses Tony of always booking for the smarts. And I think a lot of it, a lot of people don't give credit for the YouTube success that AEW has. And they don't look at it as real because it's not on TV. It's not on television. Yeah. And they think especially people that have been in the industry for too long, they look at it as a demotion. If you're not on TV, they don't get the streaming aspect of it. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't watch every episode of Dark on YouTube. I don't watch every episode of Elevation. I watch it very rarely. If it happens to pop in my feed or if I hear through the dirt sheets that something happened on one of those shows results that I have to go see, then I'll be like, oh, okay, so-and-so debuted on that. Let me go look and watch that match. Or Jay Lethal had a good match on that. Let me go check it out. That's the only time I watch that personally. But I'm 45 years old, Dan. I grew up in an era where big things happen on TV or pay-per-view.
Yeah. But here's the catch-22. You look at WWE. Where did NXT start? The WWE Network, which was a streaming service. It wasn't live the first 6 years. So what's the difference there when they were doing exactly the same thing that
Dark? You pull a line from Triple H. The difference is it was developmental. And they continually pitch to a lot of these talents in AEW that, hey, we have Dynamite, we have Rampage, and we have 2 big YouTube shows that you can get exposure on. They pitch it as part of their broadcast network. They don't pitch it as developing stars. They don't pitch
but we all know it's developmental for those.
Dark, yes. I think Dark is. I think Elevation was meant to be, especially when Mark Henry came on, as a show he could announce on and commentate on.
Yeah.
I think Elevation was supposed to be like their big YouTube show, and it just never developed.
It was also a way to kind of have like a star wrestler, up and coming person to kind of like help them out. Like, oh, okay, you're not ready for TV because we just signed you. We're going to put you against, say, Mark Henry or somebody like that where they're wrestling weekly on a TV, but they can come down to here and do a quick 5-10 minute match, but you can learn a lot in that 5-10 minutes and apply it to your craft. and then afterwards talk to them and pick their brain.
I think it's turned into more of a indie tryout. Because let's be real, AEW doesn't have a developmental system. They don't have any plans for it, according to Tony. They have the Nightmare Factory that they kind of still work with because of QT Marshall. Yeah. Obviously Cody's gone, but they don't.
They got the Rhodes Academy too.
And the Rhodes Academy, and they got a few like schools they work with, but they don't have the streamline of talent that has to come from one place to the other. People come to NXT, they start at the Performance Center, and they develop a WWE type style system, right? Whether you've been in the business for 20 years or you've been in the business for 5 days, it doesn't matter. You're going to learn how to do the WWE style. Whereas AEW, basically, I see a lot of the dark and elevation matches featuring independent talent, regional talent, stuff like that. And it's their way of like kind of, all right, let's see what you got. We'll put you on our quote unquote TV. I mean, it's YouTube, but we'll put you on against one of our people and we'll see how you can hang. And if you do good on here, maybe you get up to the next level. But it's also turned into, all right, we sign all these people. We don't have anything work to do with them. You know, Jay Lethal's been the most obvious. Like, he's been on more dark and elevation than anybody, I think. You know, he goes in that and he does that. And then the more stars you sign, like a Saraya, you know, the Swerve in Our Glory, all these big time, you know, former WWE people coming over, more of the homegrown talent gets pushed over to dark and elevation so they can keep getting, quote unquote, their matches in, getting their work in. It's kind of like an NBA star who gets sent to the G League, in my opinion. Like, you know, you want to give them playing time, but you can't necessarily fit them into the television broadcast. And I'm the first that's always been said. I've said this a number of times on Art of MMA. I've said it on other shows. I'm all for the best of the best. If you're the best of the best, I want to see that. I don't want to see everybody getting a handout just because they were there first. But at the same time, I understand where a lot of the homegrown talent, especially when their contracts are up, are like, I'm out. Like, this is not what I signed up for. You know, and every time you bring in a Saraya, there's more dollars on the check, right? There's more eyes on the prize, more pay-per-view buys, more everything. But there's also that one girl who got bounced off the end of the roster, right? Like, you put somebody on top, the bottom goes bye-bye. So let me ask you this, Dan, before we kind of wrap this whole thing up with a summary. How does the bottom of the roster continue to adapt to some of these big signings coming in?
You just got to wrestle more matches. You got to be okay with wrestling on Dark, on Elevation, on Rampage. Get that time in. You just got to put the work in. Like I said before, ask questions, pick people's brains, improve your craft, because the one important factor to you that AEW would have is your dependability and you being able to wrestle a lot. If you're the type of person that doesn't want to wrestle every week, they might not keep you. But if you wrestle every week, they see that you wrestle every week, you're getting better, they'd be more inclined to keep you. They'd be like, oh, we're going to keep her. We might keep her on Dark right now, but you know what? We will keep her, and then she could be a future star for us. We just want to groom her. I'm okay with that whole having people on Dark and Elevation, because it's like, when he first gets signed, they're not going to just throw you on Dynamite and Rampage unless you're a huge name. Like, I think we could see Saraya on Dark for maybe like a month just to get out the ring rust.
Oh, yeah, only if she's getting ring rust off.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Just to get the ring rust. Like, I saw all the ROH talent, and all of them started. All of them started on Dark, like Jay Lethal, Josh Woods.
I've seen Claudio defend his title on Dark and Elevation.
Claudio's defend his title.
Former champion.
yeah. But
that's a whole nother subject.
But Woods and just like I said, Josh Woods was a big name. He was a pure champion, lost it. He started out on there. Now he's regularly on Dynamite and Rampage. And Lether, like we said, some of these Ring of Honor guys, Roosh started on not Rampage, Dark and Elevation for like a month. They called him up. It's like
I think honestly, I think the best thing they could do for Dark and Elevation is continuality. Like you have a storyline going from Dynamite to Rampage. Have one of those big stars, whether it's a John. We see John Moxley go all over the world with the damn title, Game Changer Wrestling in Japan and everything else. Why isn't he on a Dark or Elevation to carry on a storyline? Because guess what? If you have a MJF, imagine MJF went on and cut a promo in Dark or Elevation. You know the views for that YouTube episode would be? It'd be crazy.
They used to do it with Moxley when he was champion.
They did in the beginning. They haven't done it in a long time. And if you have some of these storylines carry over into the YouTube shows, even as like one or two, like NXT did a really good job of that in the beginning, where they'd have, Claudio back when he was Cesaro wrestling a lot of the young guys. They had Big Show go down and wrestle some of the guys. They had a lot of the main roster would come and wrestle one or two matches with the NXT crew. Natalya, like, still does it, like, constantly going back. Because guess what? People will tune in to watch them. And now they're realizing the other people that are around them. When you do that, you bring in a storyline like right now, MJF's the hottest thing they got going, right? You take him, and maybe it's just him managing or outside the ring with Morrissey and a couple of those hired the firm guys with Stokely and all that.
Yeah.
And he cuts a promo on Elevation or Dark. Everybody's going to tune in for that. They're going to be like, oh, what did MJF say? And then while they're watching the video, skipping to whatever, trying to find where his thing is, they're going to be like, oh, what's this match? Oh, who are these people? And it puts more eyes on the prize. I think that's where they've gotten lost, where they did in the beginning with Dark and Elevation. That's where they got lost. Because in the beginning, you had up-and-coming stars like Darby Allin that nobody knew of. Like the first time I saw Darby, the very first Dynamite, it was a dark match against a Japanese guy. Name slips my mind right now, but it was another guy they had brought on in the very beginning.
Seema?
Maybe. Yeah, probably. I think so. And, but it was a fantastic match. It was before the show ever went live, before Cody came out and, did the whole, you've been to Dynamites, you know how that works. Like they do all these pre-matches and then all of a sudden, all right, let's start TV, and everything goes, whoa. And it was like, all right, cool. And it gave you a reason to like go watch Dark because here, see what other great talents they have, they're hidden. But they lost that reason. And I think continuing storylines, we're getting distracted from the whole Saraya thing, and I'll get your final thought on that. But I think continuing storylines over to Dark and Elevation will put way more eyes on the prize and have that lower part of the roster a lot happier because now people are watching their episodes. And I don't know if they get a kick of the streaming profits from those episodes, but they definitely get more people looking at them. So if they don't get hired in AEW, they could get hired in WWE. They could get hired in Impact because people saw their match. So it puts more eyes on the prize for everybody. Final thought, Dan. What happens next with Saraya? Where's she at in, say, a year from now?
I think in a year from now, she'll be wrestling. She'll be on, of course, the main show. She'll be
challenging. Will she be carrying the division with the title?
Personally, I think that they'll want to put the title on her like a year from now, kind of like CM Punk. It took a year, but they build it up. And you don't want to put it on her right away because you want to
WWE did. Night one, AJ. Boom, new title.
Yeah, of course, but she didn't have injury issues there that made her retire.
NXT champion.
Yeah. So you want her to test it out, like get the ring rust on, see how it feels, and then if she's good, all systems go. Then you book her in the chase for the title because everybody knows the best part about the world title is the chase. It's not always becoming the champion and defending it. It's the chase for it.
The story.
And I think that's what will tune people in is our chase for the title. And I think it would be good to space it out over a year and then have her finally get it. Maybe have her finally get it at Grand Slam next year and have it as like a 1 year mark thing. But I'm excited to see what happens, what they do with her.
It all out.
Yeah, what they do with her. See if they can get her right. See how rusty she is in the ring because it's been years. That's the big thing with me is seeing how she is in the ring because you were mentioning like she's not doing anything right now. The no touch thing. How's she doing training? Who's helping her train?
Yeah, who's she training with?
Yeah, are they going to have any vignettes about it? or they're just going to have her go on the mic on Dynamite and next week. Who knows?
My guess is that she's probably training with Athena, because Athena seems to be that one, kind of like the way Curtis Axel is always been with WWE. When they got somebody coming back and they Rock's getting ready, or the Rock's getting ready, or somebody, they always put Curtis Axel around with them to work out. Athena's kind of always been that with a lot of the women. And I think Athena was probably the only one not surprised that she was there, because I think Athena probably would be the one, if anybody, working with her. But we'll see. We'll definitely see. I'll leave it at that. I'm excited. Y'all saw my timeline. You knew I was like, last night I was resharing, retweeting, and leaving my comments. I'm a mark for Saraya. I'm a mark. Everything that woman does, I'm watching. And yes, that too. And the things left unsaid, right? But leave a comment. Let us know. Are you excited about Saraya being there? What's that mean for AEW? Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts. But I'll wrap it up with that. For Slamtown, that's Dan Bakley. I'm Mike Ginn. We will see you next episode. We're out.